Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Look North. Our top story tonight. A 17-year-old boy has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after an incident at a school in South Yorkshire.
Burley is a close-knit community, and while these events concluded in a swift arrest, it will no doubt cause ongoing concern.
We'll be live in Sheffield with the latest. Also tonight, a woman from West Yorkshire who lost her baby is calling for better screening for pregnant women.
Olivia, Irene and Humera.
We meet the BBC's new Voices of Bradford for the City of Culture 2025. And is this Yorkshire's newest town? We find out later in the programme.
And it was another mild day today. Some of us, after a grey start, were lucky enough to see some sunshine, and we've got a similar forecast for tomorrow as well. Join me at the end of the programme for all the details.
Hello there, good evening. A 17-year-old boy has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after 3 people were injured in an attack at a school in Sheffield. Officers were called this morning to Burley Academy following reports of an incident involving a sharp object. 2 adults and a child suffered minor injuries. Abby Giola has spent the day at the school. She's there for us now. Abby, what do we know about what happened there?
Well, Burley Academy is a secondary school. There's around 1,000 pupils who are aged between 11 and 16. It's about 5 miles south of Sheffield. Now, police were called here this morning at about 10 to 9, and when they got here, they found that those 3 people had been hurt, and they were explaining that earlier at a press conference alongside the head teacher.
The 2 adults both suffered minor injuries, one from a sharp object, which is believed to be broken glass. The child was assaulted and thankfully has no visible injuries. But I know this will have been a frightening ordeal for everyone involved.
I just wanted to thank all of our students and staff who helped manage the situation this morning, and our staff who prioritise the safety and well-being of all of our students. I want to thank our students for their exemplary behaviour and all of the families and local community for their support.
Abby, this happened at the beginning of the day, didn't it, this morning?
It was very early this morning. School here starts at 8:40, so pupils then have tutor time, which is before they start formal lessons at around 9 o'clock in the morning. So when this was happening, there were children in their classrooms, and parents told us they started to get frantic messages from their children as the school went into a lockdown.
She sent me a text message saying school's in lockdown and the lights had gone off, the doors were locked, and she was hiding under a desk.
Worried, scared, don't know what's happening. I just drove straight down here for now.
Yeah.
I wanted to get here quick.
I was a bit overwhelmed, so I nearly climbed over the gates at one point, but yeah, spoke to the police and they showed me that, yeah, everything was okay.
Obviously, as a parent, you can't help but panic unless you know for definite you've seen your child in person.
Gosh, it must have been absolutely terrifying for everyone involved there. What more have the police said, Abby?
Well, police are restricted in what they can tell us because they have made an arrest. They've arrested a 17-year-old boy on suspicion of attempted murder, and he's in police custody. Now, officers say they will remain in this area for the next few days just to reassure the community. And they've also asked that people don't speculate on social media. They don't want people to post footage of what happened while they just complete those investigations. Now, the school has been closed all day today since that early morning lockdown, but it will reopen tomorrow for pupils and staff.
Abby, thank you. Next tonight, the heartrending story of Lauren, a mother from West Yorkshire who got in touch with us here at Look North to help raise awareness of her situation. She says she's lost a baby, a marriage and her sense of self due to a sexually transmitted infection. Now, we've protected her identity, not because she's hiding away or she's ashamed, but for legal reasons. It's the only way that she can actually tell her story in full and allow her campaign for better screening for pregnant women to be heard. Now, she explained what happened to Kathy Killick. Please be aware that some parts of her interview do deal with baby loss and it may be upsetting.
They are the heartbreaking keepsakes of losing a baby, but they comfort Lauren. She has experienced trauma upon trauma since giving birth last September.
So I fell pregnant in June 2023. I think we'd been trying for around 8 weeks. The pregnancy was probably the easiest out of all 3 of my pregnancies. No complications. And then I started getting a bit of weird discharge.
Doctors thought Lauren had a urinary tract infection, but at 18 weeks her condition worsened significantly.
The pains were just horrendous. I was at home by myself and I couldn't stand. My mum came down. We didn't know whether to ring an ambulance because of how bad the pain was, but she drove and she managed to get me there. They got a wheelchair and rushed me straight down to delivery to a room that I now know is a bereavement room. And when we got there, I just remember looking at my mum and saying, "Why are we in here?"
Lauren was so ill, doctors said they couldn't save the pregnancy and she'd die if she didn't deliver the baby.
I gave birth to her at 4:15, and she was born in her sack, alive, sucking her thumb, moving. She was fully breathing unaided, moving her arms and legs. And then they passed it to me and I said, "You need to help her." And they just said, "We're not allowed." I then just had to sit and hold her until she passed away.
There's no trauma like the loss of a baby, but when Lauren was told why, her world was flipped upside down.
She says, "I'm very, very sorry, but you've tested positive for chlamydia and gonorrhea." And I turned around and said, "You must be wrong." And that's when it hit me. The only way that you can contract an STI is through having sex, and the only person that I had sex with was my husband. He's given me that, and I didn't know.
Lauren's marriage ended there and then, but even while grieving, she started campaigning for change.
I want the NHS to offer full STI screening at the beginning of every pregnancy to every woman in the UK, because it will save babies' lives across the UK, and it will save women from having to feel the way that I do every day. I've lost my daughter, I've lost my marriage, and I've lost me.
Cathy Killick, BBC Look North.
A traumatic and heartbreaking story. Our thanks to Lauren, who decided to speak to us here at Look North. Now, whilst her particular story is unusual, sexually transmitted infections more generally are a big public health challenge in Yorkshire. Latest figures show a 29% rise in new cases, meaning Yorkshire has the 3rd highest rate in STIs of any region in England. That's a total of over 33,000 new cases, meaning that out of every 100,000 people in the region, 609 were diagnosed with a new STI that year. Now, one of the biggest increases is with gonorrhea, where cases were up by 95%. Other STIs have also seen a number of new cases rise. Syphilis was up 37%. Chlamydia is up 25%. Earlier I spoke to Dr. Claire Dewsnap, who's the head of the British Association of Sexual Health and HIV. I asked her what sort of screening is automatically available to pregnant women at the moment.
So at baseline, when people book in, when they're newly pregnant at 12 weeks, they'll get offered some blood tests, and that will include things like HIV and syphilis. But they don't routinely get offered a chlamydia and gonorrhea test unless they are under a certain age, so it's usually under 25.
Lauren is calling for more tests to be done. Do you agree with her? Should more be available?
Yeah, we also would like some further testing. So at baseline so when you first book in at 12 weeks, you have a HIV and syphilis test, and we would like people to be tested again. And we would like all women to be offered a screening test for chlamydia and gonorrhea, and for that conversation to happen.
Lauren claims that she caught her STI from her husband. What advice would you give couples who are planning to start a family?
I think it's important to talk about what your sex life involves and whether it is monogamous, especially if you're planning a pregnancy. I think it's important for you as a woman to be aware of the potential STIs that you might acquire, and I think it's important for you to talk to your partner about that. And if you are having unprotected sex with your partner for the first time, that you should probably both go and get tested.
What sort of health problems do undiagnosed STIs cause to babies and mothers? For Lauren, it was an absolutely tragic set of circumstances.
It's quite a range from no consequences at all to consequences for the mother, which might lead to problems with pregnancy. So that might lead to miscarriage or early onset of labour. It's also potentially that can cause pain and soreness. And then you can also have impacts upon the baby, either during pregnancy or when the baby is born. And these can all impact on their general health.
Just very briefly, we don't want to scare any expectant mums. So what treatment is available if a pregnant mum does find she has an STI?
It's all treatable, really. So, everything we've talked about here, chlamydia, gonorrhea and syphilis, are all treated with simple courses of antibiotics. And I think the key thing is not to feel bad about it and not to stigmatise yourself about it. It's just an infection, and once it's been identified, we can treat it really straightforwardly with antibiotics.
Dr. Dewsnap, thank you for your time. We've just heard some really upsetting details the last few moments. So if you or someone you know has been affected by tonight's report, then you can find details of organisations offering information and support with bereavement at bbc.co.uk/action line, or you can call for free at any time to hear recorded information on 08000 158 707. You are watching Wednesday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme. The winners of the BBC's new Voice of Bradford talent search have finally been announced. We'll be chatting to them about covering the City of Culture 2025. But next tonight, the father of a 15-year-old boy on trial for the murder of teenager Alfie Lewis has been given evidence at Leeds Crown Court. The defendant is accused of stabbing Alfie twice in Horsforth in November. He denies murder and says he didn't intend to kill or hurt him. Corinne Wheatley has been in court today.
Today was the last day of witness evidence in this trial. The jury have heard from 17 witnesses now in total. The final to be called the defendant's father, who we can't name to avoid identifying his son. He was asked about the knife that was used to kill Alfie Lewis, the knife that his son admits he took from the kitchen drawer at home on the morning of the 7th of November last year. He was also asked about photos of his son that the jury has seen, one where the defendant is holding a knife taken on a family holiday last year. The boy's father said this was all to do with his son learning about the family's cultural heritage, and that the knife was a model made by his brother, the defendant's uncle, who is a craftsman. Well, in their closing speech today, the prosecution said that photo, along with others, demonstrated more than a passing interest in knives. They also told the jury there were inconsistencies in the defendant's account of the stabbing. The barrister said, "We do not say this was a planned, deliberate killing, but that there were obvious elements of planning." They said, what other intention could there be other than to cause really serious harm? And as the prosecution demonstrated the movements of the knife that they say inflicted the fatal blow, members of Alfie's family, not for the first time during this trial, left the courtroom in tears. The defence say that the defendant had not planned to kill Alfie, but he had been acting in the heat of the moment. They asked the jury why he would have done that, knowing that not one but two schools worth of parents, staff and pupils would be there on the pavement, knowing that it would be broad daylight. Is that what you would do if you were planning to attack someone? The judge is expected to finish summing up the case tomorrow before the jury begin their deliberations.
Let's take a look at some of the stories coming into our newsroom now. Police have named a woman they believe was a victim of domestic-related murder on the outskirts of Leeds. 63-year-old Karen O'Leary was found dead, along with 61-year-old Dennis O'Leary at a property at Fernville Close in Oakwood last Thursday. West Yorkshire Police have said no one else is being sought in connection with the incident, and specially trained officers are supporting family members while inquiries continue. A West Yorkshire police officer has been charged with terrorism offences. PC Mohammed Adil, who's 26 and from Bradford, faces 2 counts of publishing an image in support of Hamas, which is a banned organisation in the UK. PC Adil, who's based in Calderdale, has been suspended and will appear at Westminster Magistrates Court in London tomorrow. Protesters have set up pro-Palestinian camps outside the University of Leeds and the University of Sheffield. They're the latest in a series of demonstrations by students about the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Leeds University says they're monitoring the situation to make sure students and staff are safe. Now tomorrow, nearly 5 million people across Yorkshire and the North Midlands get to choose their politicians. This round of local elections isn't just huge for those who are running for councils and police forces. It'll also tell us a lot about how people are feeling ahead of that general election later in the year. Our political editor James Vincent has the details of what exactly is up for grabs.
That's right, yes. Tomorrow we choose who is in charge of our places and who puts stuff where and how much of our money is spent on it. You can see the city building up there. That's basically the politician's job. So who will we be electing? We will be electing 238 politicians, 8 councils, 2 police commissioners and 4 mayors. Let's talk about those police commissioners first. Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire will be electing people to run the police force, and we will be getting 4 mayors across our part of the world as well. North Yorkshire will be getting a new mayor, West Yorkshire and South Yorkshire are electing a mayor, and East Midlands, the East Midlands are getting a mayor as well for the first time. But most people are not bothering to have their say. Last time that South Yorkshire elected a mayor, only a quarter of people decided to actually vote. Now, we know there's a general election coming later this year, but politics starts on your street, and who is deciding what goes on it? We've been doing debates for the mayoral elections here. You can still see them on the iPlayer. There's a load more info on the BBC website as well. You can put your postcode in and see who's standing for election in your part of the world. It's our biggest election year this year. Nearly 5 million people here have the power to decide what happens, choosing who those 238 people who will be at the controls of your town and city, deciding on what happens on your street. Well, that's up to you.
Something totally different now. The BBC's New Voices Bradford talent search is officially over. The winners were announced last night on The One Show, and they'll work alongside the BBC team covering the UK City of Culture events in Bradford next year. In a moment, we'll speak to the 3 lucky winners, but first let's take a look at what happened.
It's a big day today. It's the final auditions, and I've got the honour of being the head judge.
For the auditionees, they've just 2 minutes to convince us why they should be the voice of Bradford. And they've thought long and hard about how to stand out from the crowd.
Thank you.
You've got 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Off you go.
This is a little ditty, I'll be careful how I say that, judges, about Bradford, our amazing city.
Hello, everybody!
Bradford is gearing up to bring you a year of exciting events.
From humble beginnings, as they say, come great things.
Wait, sorry guys, I thought that was my X Factor audition. I got my days mixed up.
I've always wanted to be more of a person that is involved with highlighting my city because I'm so proud of where I'm from.
Today is quite different to my normal day today. We got salt mill and...
Oh, I'm so sorry!
Dear Grandma, all thanks goes to you. Thank you for moving to Yorkshire.
The winners, Olivia, Irene and Humera.
And here they are. Congratulations, Irene, Olivia, Humera. Has it sunk in yet?
Oh, absolutely not. I don't know if it ever will.
No, definitely not.
It just felt like an absolute whirlwind and so surreal.
This is your first time in a BBC Yorkshire building.
It is.
You might be working alongside some of the people here, so how's it been for you so far?
Exciting. Everyone's been so amazing and welcoming and friendly. It's like the competition all over again. No, it's great.
And by the sounds of it, it's been a really good experience for all of you, hasn't it, this whole process?
Yeah, absolutely. And a situation like this has the potential to be really daunting and intimidating, but credit to the whole team because there is not one person who wasn't so inviting and just made the whole experience just so wonderful.
I tell you what is daunting, having to sell yourself in 2 minutes. I mean, girls, how did you manage that? Because, Humera, you're an optometrist, so this is totally different for you, isn't it?
Oh, entirely different. Generally, I don't have to convince people that I'm a good optometrist when I'm testing their eyes. So, yeah, it was super different, and it was difficult to come up with an idea, but I had lots of discussions with friends and family, and the idea just came to me.
And for you, actually, though, Humera, you made the judges cry, and I have to say, I shed a tear when I watched your audition. It was so touching.
Oh, thank you.
What about you, Olivia?
I just try to be a little bit funny with it. I think my personality is very light-hearted. I don't like to take myself too seriously, but obviously I do take my city seriously.
So yeah, it was just an opportunity to really combine those two things and just have a little bit of fun with it.
And you decided to go down the singing route because that's your background, isn't it, Irene?
Yeah, so my background is in theatre and I love a song and a dance, so instinctually I knew I wanted to sing something, but I really wanted to make my community a part of it, so I took quotes from friends and family and put them into an original song, and somehow it worked because we're here.
And you're all so different, which is so reflective of Bradford, isn't it? Such a multicultural city of people from loads of different backgrounds. Olivia, you are a car saleswoman.
I am.
So this is all about celebrating Bradford. How do you sell Bradford to an outsider, someone from the other side of the world?
Oh, I don't know. I just got my probation extended, to be fair, because I'm not great at selling cars. I'll stick to selling Bradford, I think.
So this is opening up lots of opportunities for you to celebrate the city of culture. What sort of areas are you hoping that you can explore?
I personally have a deep love for the creative industry, of course, with my background, but I think a lot of people think of creatives as just the people who sing, dance and act, and actually the creative industry goes so far beyond that. I mean, we saw in the auditions, you've got puppeteers, you've got artists, you've got graphic designers, so I really hope to do something that celebrates all the creative opportunities in Bradford.
I'm really excited to have events for the kids as well, kind of get them off the screens and out, maybe in Centenary Square, and just really having a good time with them as well.
And what about you, Olivia?
I think I just want to tap into more people from my generation and the younger generations. I feel like when it comes to the city and its history and even the news, it's very rare that people, in the 20s or in the late teens will even pick up the phone and look at the news. So really to engage that younger generation into what we're doing and what Bradford is as a city.
Yeah, well, I know you're all so passionate about your city, and girls, hopefully we'll get to work with you a bit more. I'm so excited for you all.
Really exciting, tell me about it.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Fancy this job, do you, Irene?
Oh, why not? I'll give it a go.
Well, this is our last piece, so you can all stay in and watch this. Imagine if you could create your very own Yorkshire town. I've got a feeling I know what these girls would maybe imagine. Picking the best bits and places from here and there. Well, one man from Burley and Wharfdale has done just that, using nothing but, listen to this, girls, card and paper, of course, and lots of patience. Michelle Scott, or Michael Scott even, has created the town of Chandwell. We paid it a visit.
Sometimes a building really looks interesting to me. I think I'd love to make that for Chandwell. I'm Michael Scott. Welcome to Chandwell. So Chandwell is my N-gauge model railway of a West Yorkshire town. It's set in 1993. It's completely made up. It's a fictional town, but all of the buildings that I've made, and they're all made out of card and paper, based upon real buildings in and around West Yorkshire, where I live. So this one down here is one of my favourites. If you've ever been to Ilkley, you should hopefully recognise this as the Crescent Hotel. It was an excuse to use some old model railway stuff that I had from when I was a kid. I thought I'd really like to use that again and maybe my children would be interested in it. But then I started building the buildings, and it's the buildings that have really captured my interest. I don't use 3D printers, I don't use anything that's complicated. It's literally just children's glue, card and paper. So yeah, this is about as small as I get. So these bits here, they're just over a millimetre wide by 2 millimetres tall. All of the buildings are from around here, and I think it's always better to model what you see. It isn't until I started building these models that I really started looking up in cities and really appreciating what it is that's around us. I've been making it for about 4 years, and I've got a YouTube channel as well, which I show both how I make the buildings, but also I tell daft stories about them as well. So Chandwell itself as a place, although it's fictional, it's got a rich history. It started off as an interesting way to show off my model railway, but it's become almost turned on its head in that my YouTube channel is now talking about Chandwell and the strange place. This was one of the first ones I built. This is the Royal Scot Hotel, but anyone who's got off the train at Bradford Forster Square hopefully should recognise that as the Midland Hotel in Bradford. It's a great way to switch off after work, getting your knife out and slowly cutting out tiny little bits of card and paper and gluing them stuff. We've got Sorby Bridge Town Hall, which has got the Chandwell treatment as well. It's not a grand old bank in Chandwell, it's a really cheesy nightclub called Club Passion. I am very proud of what I've created, yeah, I'm really pleased with it. Every time, this is where I work as well, so I sit at my desk and I look at it as I'm working. I think, yeah, I've made that from nothing.
I mean, wow, girls.
Amazing. I want his number.
We want a paper card model of Bradford, right?
Oh, of Irene.
Absolutely. One of Irene. I'd like to see that. Keely, meet our new voices of Bradford.
I know, I'm very impressed, just having a nice little chat off air. Yeah, welcome, ladies. Right, the weather today, well, it started off on a bit of a dismal note, didn't it? Grey conditions. We'll have similar conditions tomorrow as well, but it did brighten up for most of us through the course of the day. We can see some lovely bluebells there. The sunshine just peeking through the trees there. You can keep your pictures coming into, well, a variety of places. Coming up on our screen now, the Weather Watchers page, or on social media as well, Keely.Donovan on Instagram. So yes, it's going to be a bit of a repeat performance, I think, through tomorrow. We'll start off with a lot of cloud, mist and murk, quite grey conditions, but I'm hopeful that it should brighten up and it should stay largely dry, and it should, for most of us, be mild once again. And then quite widespread showers into Friday. Friday looks like a bit of a dismal day. Some of those showers could be heavy and thundery. And you've guessed it, a bank holiday weekend on the card, so it is going to be a mixed bag at the moment, and it could change. Saturday looks like the better of the 3 days. So we started with a lot of cloud, but on the satellite picture you can see how we've seen bright or sunny spells develop for eastern parts. Those breaks are extending westwards and will continue to do so through this evening and overnight. But then through the second half of the night, low cloud, mist and murk will extend westwards once again. It's going to be a mild night, temperatures only back to around 9 or 10 degrees. Let's have a quick look at those high water times then at around about 11:15 in Scarborough tomorrow morning. So we'll start the day with a lot of cloud, but that cloud, low cloud, should lift and the rest of the cloud should thin and break. I don't think it'll be as sunny as these graphics suggest. There'll still be quite a bit of cloud, but it should improve through the day. Some uncertainty about this rash of showers here, but for most of the day it should stay dry. And look at that contrast, 17, 18 degrees between 12 on the coast. So with a northeasterly breeze, I think it will feel chilly for that northeast corner. Bridlington, once again, may fare okay. It'll be protected from that wind direction. So those showers, if they do push northwards, there's still some uncertainty, could be heavy and thundery, and they'll certainly arrive as we make our way through Friday. A mixed bag for the weekend, ladies.
I hear the sun always shines in Bradford, right?
It does.
Quite right.
So your first TV interviews, how did you find it?
Yeah, a little bit daunting, but again, lovely. Can't complain.
Well, say goodbye to everyone because we're out of time.
Thank you guys.
Nice.